The sea does not forgive mistakes, but it tolerates arrogance even less. Alex knew this better than the Lord's Prayer. His hands, scarred with a network of whitened marks and grease stained deep into the skin, resembled an old piece of driftwood washed ashore after a prolonged storm. For 40 years he had gone out into these waters. For 40 years he had held a silent conversation with the abyss that fed his family, but which at any second could demand his own life as payment. That morning, the Sea of Japan pretended to be harmless, like a dozing kitten. The surface of the water was so smooth that the horizon was erased, and it seemed as if the old barge, Tramp, was hovering in an infinite blue, where the sky and the ocean merged into one. It was that deceptive, ringing silence that seasoned sailors both love and hate. Alex, squinting against the bright sun, adjusted his faded cap and glanced at the echo sounder. There was fish, but it was staying deep. He moved about 5 miles from the shore, a familiar, almost domestic distance. The old diesel, a faithful but temperamental beast, beat its rhythm steadily. Thud, 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 thud. This sound was the heartbeat of the boat, a promise of life. And suddenly, the rhythm broke. The engine seemed to choke, emitted a series of strained, grinding sounds, coughed a thick cloud of black smoke, and fell silent. The ensuing silence was deafening. It was not the silence of peace, but the silence of emptiness. Only the water could be heard lazily lapping against the wooden sides. "Well, you old devil," Alex grumbled, wiping his hands with a rag. "Injectors again?" He wasn't afraid. Fear is for novices, and he was a professional. He calmly took out his toolbox, habitually cursing under his breath, and leaned toward the engine compartment. A repair plan was already forming in his head. Bleed it, tighten it, start it. A 20-minute job. He didn't even have time to touch the wrench. The impact was of monstrous force. It felt as if the barge had hit an underwater rock at full speed, though Alex knew the depth here was enough to drown a skyscraper. He was thrown onto the deck, tools scattered, and the wrench clinked and disappeared overboard. The boat's wooden hull groaned pitifully, like a living creature having its ribs broken. Alex, grunting, rolled onto his stomach and grabbed the gunwale, trying to stand. His head was ringing. "What the hell?" he wheezed, spitting out salty saliva. He looked over the stern and felt an icy cold, unrelated to the water temperature, grip him from within. From the dark, impenetrable depth, cutting the surface of the water like a hot knife through butter, rose a huge dorsal fin. Nearly 2 meters high, black and glistening. Behind it appeared a powerful smooth back with a characteristic light patch. An orca. In maritime schools they aren't called killer whales for nothing. Alex had seen them before, but from afar. They went their way, playing in the waves and paying no attention to people. But this one was alone. And it was huge. 6 tons of power, perfected by evolution. "Go away," Alex whispered, feeling his knees shake. "Go your way, beast." But it didn't leave. The predator turned, describing a wide arc, and the water churned from the power of its tail. The orca picked up speed. Alex clung to the side, expecting an impact that would smash his old tub to splinters. Bam! The orca slammed its blunt snout right into the stern of the boat. The blow was dull, heavy, shaking every plank. The barge pitched forward, scooping up some water. "You won't take me! You won't take me alive!" he yelled, waving a boat hook like a spear. The orca surfaced right at the stern. Alex saw its eye. Small, dark, unexpectedly intelligent against the backdrop of the huge black and white body. In that look, there was no insane fury, only cold calculation. It wasn't trying to flip the boat. It pressed its head against the reinforced part of the stern right next to the propeller of the stalled engine. The water around it foamed. The mighty back muscles tensed, the tail worked with incredible amplitude. The barge shuddered and moved forward. Slowly at first, then faster. The orca was pushing it. Alex froze with the hook raised. "Where are you taking me?" He exhaled. He glanced at the compass. Southeast, straight into the open ocean, away from the shore, away from people. It's taking me to the deep. The thought burned him. It wants to finish me there. Let go! Get off! He screamed, poking the point into the smooth body. It was useless. He might as well have tried to stop a train with his hands. The orca acted with frightening method. Steady pushes, powerful breathing. Puffed. Spray flying into the face of the maddened fisherman. Minutes turned into hours. The shore became a thin strip and then disappeared entirely. Around him, only water remained, endless, indifferent. Alex was exhausted. The hook fell from his hands. He slumped onto the deck, pressing his back against the cabin. His heart hammered in his throat, but the adrenaline had burned out, leaving a void. He pulled out his cigarettes. His hands shook so violently that he broke 2 matches before he could light up. Bitter smoke filled his lungs, bringing a faint calm. So, this is it, he thought. 40 years at sea, and an end without a trace. He remembered his wife, Marina, who died a few years ago. He remembered his daughter, who had long since moved to the city and asked him to quit the sea. "Dad, it's dangerous." She was right. The orca continued to push the boat for over an hour. Why? Why didn't it destroy it immediately? Maybe it was leading him to a pod. These thoughts were unsettling. He looked up at the sun. It shone just as brightly, but the air had changed. It was heavy. The pressure was dropping. And suddenly, as abruptly as it all began, the movement stopped. One last powerful push, and the boat glided a few more meters by inertia. The sound of water died down. The orca surfaced beside the hull. It lay on the surface, breathing heavily. A fountain of spray shot up, creating a rainbow for a second. It rolled onto its side, and Alex saw its eye again. Was it his imagination, or was there weariness in it now? "Is that it?" he asked hoarsely. The orca slowly raised its tail above the water and sank into the depths without a splash. The black shadow dissolved into the blue. Alex was alone. Silence returned, but now it was different. Heavy. He stood up, swaying. He was alive. The boat was intact. Gone! He chuckled nervously. He turned around and froze. Where he had been an hour ago, hell was breaking loose. The horizon had vanished. The sky had collapsed into the sea. A black-purple wall of clouds pierced by lightning, boiling water, a white squall. A terrifying, rare phenomenon. A sudden local storm of monstrous force. It arises in minutes and destroys everything in its path. It doesn't warn. The barometer drops when it's already too late. Alex looked at where his barge had been recently. If he had stayed, nothing would be left. Neither the boat nor himself. There was no chance of survival. He understood. The orca had saved him. It spent its strength to lead him away from death. Alex slowly sank to his knees. He looked at his hands, which recently tried to wound his savior. Shame and gratitude overwhelmed him. "Forgive me," he whispered. His shoulders shook. He wept for the first time in many years, feeling not like the master of the sea, but like its foolish child. The squall subsided as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind torn clouds and a calming sea. Alex sat on the deck for a long time before standing up. He knew the engine would start. Now he knew it for sure. He took out his cigarettes, thought for a moment, and threw them overboard. Then he found a can of condensed milk, pierced it with a knife, and poured a thick, sweet stream into the water. "Thank you," he said toward the depths. The engine started on the first try, as if nothing had happened. Alex turned the boat toward the distant shore. He was going home, but he knew that a part of him remained there forever, in the open ocean, beside the black fin of the silent savior. Friends, share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of this story? If the video was interesting, support us with a like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.